Hey, I'm James Crouch with Alliance Tire. We're here today in Ames, Iowa. It's June 19th. We're just finishing up our first ever field day in collaboration with AgriBrink.
AgriBrink provides central tire inflation systems. We truly believe that the best way for us to provide value to our customers is to offer a tire at the right pressure. A great way to do this is with VF Tires plus CTIS. With the push of a button from a cab, you can set your tire pressure exactly where you need to get the maximum performance out of that tire of the machine.
So we're gonna look at two things we did today. Number one is the compaction pits, showing high pressure tires versus VF CTIS tires. And with the in-ground probes, we're gonna look at what this manure tanker does at standard radial pressures versus CTIS pressures at different levels in the ground. If you wanna learn a little bit more about the testing we did to support this event, we have two other videos out there, one showing VF with VF CTIS pressures and another comparing standard radials. So before we go and take a look at the actual compaction pits and walk through that, Jay, can you tell us a little bit about the AgriBrink system?
We realized the value of deflated tires and the need for the speed of the system to be practical for farming. It had to be fast for the reason of soil health to prevent the compaction of soil.
So we did see the speed that Jake's talking about today. I mean, the manure tanker we've got behind us, these are 35.532 tires, are huge. We were able to deflate from road pressure to field pressure in about 45 seconds. All right, now let's go take a look at the compaction pit. All right, we're here in the first pit. This was the pit that we used for the sprayer. So we have two different conditions here. We have traditional road pressure, which is where you would normally have to set for without the ability of CTIS, and then we have CTIS enabled pressure on the left side here. These are VF 380-105-50 tires on a Miller Nitro sprayer. So Jake, what are we looking at here?
So what we're looking at here is an inflated tire that's required for on the road. So these tires require road speed pressures, okay? We're looking at around 64 PSI over here. We can measure how much pressure goes down. So not only did we measure the depth, but we can see if you measure carefully the layers in the soil, how it is depressed further with that hard tire. Over here, we can back up here and we'll look at this tire. This tire is deflated for field conditions. The tire is designed to go soft at a slower speed. So we use that. When we have CTIS, we can take advantage of that. And we can see the difference just in the rutting. And also the depth that this compaction is creating is significantly different. So that's just a simple visual that I think just hits home, that we gotta look at. You know, pressure is one of the components of compaction. We know that reduced compaction is done with reducing tire pressure.
And with modern tillage practices, I mean, people are trying to really mess with as little of the soil as possible. So they're only trying to turn over as little as possible to keep it right. The problem with tires like this, that's inflated up to 64 PSI, which is the road pressure where you normally have to run without CTIS, is the compaction damage actually goes really deep into the soil, which I think you can see here too. And that deep compaction is almost impossible to get rid of year over year. So, I mean, if you're only turning up the top 6, 8, 10 inches of soil, you're not gonna get that compaction out of the bottom, and it still creates long-standing hard pan that really does block root growth.
I think what we're creating is walls in the ground. Yeah. We don't even know how deep that wall is going, but we have tile drainage. With tile drainage, we need that water to get to the tile. Yeah. And when we have a wall there, the water's not gonna get there to the same extent, same speed that we like.
All right, so we looked at our sprayer pit. Next, we're gonna go look at the pit from the manure tanker. All right, now we're here at our second pit. This one is where we put our manure tanker. So we had a 8,500 gallon manure tanker, 35.5 LR32 radials on it, in two different pressure conditions. So we had the traditional pressure that you would have to use without the ability of CTIS, and then you have the CTIS enabled pressure over here to the left. So Jake, what are we looking at on this one?
Okay, again, we're looking at this, and I think the thing we gotta really look at, okay, how far down in the soil are we affecting that pressure? And if you can carefully look across, there's a distinct difference between the two sides. We definitely are deeper on the top part of the compaction. The rutting is there. We're gonna have issues here with this water getting down, any crops growing there. So that's huge. And it's interesting when we get feedback from farmers that have both systems, like no system versus system, they can definitely see a response to their crops. This is an extreme, but it shows. Manure tanks do a high percentage of trafficking on the land. It's less than the sprayer, but it does a lot. So both are pieces of equipment that we use in the spring when soil is most vulnerable, and they need to have that looked at.
All right, the next thing we're going to take a look at is the actual in-ground probes that we use to see the compaction levels at different depths of the soil. So with the in-ground probes, we looked at depths of 4, 8, and 16 inches to really see what the impacts of a giant manure tanker like this is on different levels of the pit. Jay, can you tell us a little bit about what we did with the pit?
Okay, so the sensors they're filled with water. When we put them in the soil, they can feel the pressure as something drives over. Like on this tire, we were around 30, 40 PSI, and it went down to, I believe, 15. We'll see that same number pretty well show up on our sensor with a graph. And the graph is a really nice visual for people to see, hey, look at.
And that's the biggest difference in doing the in-ground probes versus a traditional compaction pit. We did both here because they're both very good visuals and people understand it and they see it. But when you're doing the probes, you're seeing the compaction on untethered soil. So it's not mixed up, it's not churned up, it's just the dirt. That's exactly what we want to see. So we're doing a bunch of demonstrations here showing people visually what happens to the ground they can't see, to the compacted levels under the soil and how much they can actually impact or improve it. But what does that mean to your standard farmer who's getting out in the field trying to get his job done?
It's a big deal because what we're doing is we're preventing that soil to be compacted to the degree where the water can't get down, we can't get our nutrients in the ground, the roots can't go down. So there's a lot of implications that all add up when you change tire pressure.
So the reason we chose the equipment we did, I mean, we picked a 8,500 gallon tanker with triple axle, big tires. We did a sprayer, nice tall tires on it. We did these because these are two different pieces of equipment that really do cause a lot of compaction that people may not realize. So the sprayer in particular, these are skinny tires. These are 380, so they're 380 millimeters wide. They carry an enormous amount of weight at very high pressures. So instead of running at 64 PSI, which is where these tires would have needed to have been without CTIS, we're able to drop that down to 40, 45. So it's a huge difference. We wanted to show that. The manure tanker, same thing. These are enormous machines. I mean, the tanker is 8,500 gallons. It's pulled by a tractor that weighs close to 60,000 pounds. It is very imposing on the soil. So anything we can do to reduce that air pressure and reduce that compaction with something that large is critical to yield.
There's a lot of reasons why tractors took off, and a good reason for it. Today we have that soft tire. When you got a tire that can do what a track can do or more, the tire will always win. That's what CTIS is offering, to maximize the ability to do what you can to that tire.
At the end of the day, special thanks to Jake and his family at AgriBrink. Without him, none of this would have been possible. The testing we did, I think, really did open some eyes. So if you want to learn more about the AgriBrink system, check out their website. If you want to learn more about the tires, check out Alliance online or go see your local dealer.